So about a month ago, I actually uploaded a video showing you guys 6 languages that I speak, especially on my Instagram. The video somewhat went viral in Malaysia. And so I asked you guys, what would you like to know about language learning? And so we're going to get into your questions in this video. So the first question is, why did you learn multiple languages and how? So as I explained, growing up in Malaysia, I think a lot of us speak more than 2 languages. Like we speak at least Malay and English. And because I'm Malaysian Indian, I also did learn Tamil growing up. However, it wasn't the language that I spoke in my household. We mostly spoke in English, except for with my grandparents and like elder people. They would speak to me in Tamil and I would understand what they were saying, and then I would reply them in English, which I regret, because had I not done that, I think I would be speaking Tamil a lot better today. So English and Malay I learned up growing in school, and then at 18 I moved to France to study engineering. And so obviously I had to pick up the French language. I had 1 year of intensive French language classes in Tours, and I also made a video talking about how I went to A1 to B2 in 1 year, so do check that video out. But I would say that my fluency definitely comes from immersing myself in a French environment, mixing with the French, speaking in French every day. That's what helped me become fluent in French today. As for Spanish, so I have been obsessed with Spanish ever since I was 12. Like I would print out simple Spanish phrases and try to memorize them and try to learn them. So I did Spanish for about like 1.5 years at university, and then I had like an Italian phase where I just became like bonkers and obsessed with the Italian language. And I think it only appeared like later on in my life, because before that I wasn't really exposed to the language. But then I started like meeting new exchange students in France at my university from Italy, and that's when I was like, oh my god, Italian is such a beautiful language. The craze was so bad that I went on a solo trip to Rome and I started learning Italian by myself. I became obsessed with Italian music, and the moment summer holidays was over and the semester started, I enrolled in Italian classes at university. The second question is, can you speak Bahasa and you should maybe do some content in Malay? Yes, saya boleh cakap Bahasa Melayu, tapi saya rasa macam Bahasa Melayu saya agak karat. Likewise, you have to leave me with my Malaysian friends and you have to let the Bahasa come back for it to come back naturally, but it's kind of hard for me to switch directly at the moment. So I did think of making like a 24-hour vlog of me speaking in Malay. I don't know if that's something that you guys would like to see. Let me know in the comment section down below. Third question is, how did you learn Spanish language? The actual learning started, I think, when I came to France during my first year in university. I tried to follow some classes on YouTube. So the thing is, there are many YouTube channels that teach you languages. So I just picked a random channel and started to like follow. I tried to learn Spanish the same way I was taught French. The peak fluency of my Spanish was during my 3rd semester at university, when I had like 3 hours of Spanish classes per week, plus a private tutor that I had to just help me converse and become more fluent. Then later on, to maintain the language, I just listened to Spanish podcasts. The next question is, how did you use the new languages that you learned in real life at the beginning stage? The reason why I also wanted to learn like the Latin languages is because I loved the country so much, and I also loved the languages. So it was more for me to use when I would travel to those countries, which I do. I do use those languages when I travel to those countries, or at least I try. Another way that I would use it is when I meet people who speak those languages, I would try to converse with them in the beginning, or even with like colleagues in the office, I would try to start by conversing with them in Spanish or Italian, because I always feel like it makes a huge difference when you speak to someone in their first language. It removes that wall and you immediately feel closer to that person. The next question is, do you have any tips and tricks about learning languages? Main thing I would say is, if you really want to learn a language, you have to immerse yourself. You start listening to podcasts, you start reading simple books, you start practicing the language like for a few hours in the week, at least every day or at least every alternate day of the week. You get a tutor to help you progress faster. But for me, the thing that worked the most was getting a tutor on italki. So what you do is you get a tutor on italki to converse with you for like about 30 minutes once or twice a week. Twice would be better. And that way, the tutor will force you to speak, to talk about your day, to talk about your life, to talk about like this or that event in that language. And obviously, it's difficult in the beginning. Like I struggled as well. But with time, you remove that fear of speaking in that language, and you also remove that fear of making mistakes. And that is very important, because when you remove that fear, it's when you become more confident and you speak more, regardless of whether you're speaking perfectly or not. The next question is, how do you retain the languages that you have learned when you don't speak it in your daily life? So what I do, especially for Spanish, is I listen to podcasts. When I'm taking the public transportation, I try to listen to a podcast every now and then. I also rewatch my favorite series that I've watched a billion of times, How I Met Your Mother, but in Spanish with the Spanish subtitle. The second last question is, I learned French a few years ago and I want to brush out my French skills. How do I do this? If you truly want to keep working on your language skills, get a tutor. Like, if you're anything like me, I'm someone who needs that guidance when it comes to learning a new language, so it's easier to depend on a tutor. And the last question is, do you feel that the language you speak impacts the way you think and act? For me, when you learn a language, you're not just learning how to speak in that language, but you're learning everything that comes with it, meaning the people, its culture, the traditions, stereotypes as well. I'm also more direct when I speak French and a lot less expressive as compared to English. Also, there have been many studies that have shown that a language does shape the way that you think. In my opinion, when you become fluent in a language, you do start to think and act the same way as the people who do speak that language. If you guys do speak other languages, let me know if this is the case for you as well. So we've come to the end of this video, and I hope that I managed to answer all of your questions. If you have anything to ask me, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'd love to see you in my next video. Ciao!